Welcome back, comrades, to DIY by NZguy. Today, final video of DIY seeping wall repair overview. What we have here is kind of all the tools that we used, which I'll go over in just a minute. But first, let's have a look at the result. Just give you a heads up, I did finish the project, but let's have a look at the results. This is the first troublesome wall. It's been all fixed in. The beams have been replaced. I glued them in, I screwed them in. So because this beam was out, I was able to paint everything. Use the water plug to seal it all up. Used a bit of plastic that I have. It's just to stop the wood from getting moisture if there's any penetration, although there shouldn't be, so this should last for a long time. The beam is screwed into the brick. I'll see if I can show you anything from down the bottom. There we go, wall is painted. There's some dry spots just in there, but in general, all speaking, yeah, these cobwebs, the wall is nice and dry. So this is where I finished, this is where it continues, but there has been no leaks coming from this side. What actually has been happening is leaks from the another corner. That's the problem. So that's why I had the floods keep happening. I fixed up the left corner. This right corner is where the leaks were coming from. To be honest, I had to start all over again. So it's basically the same process. Start from the top, work their way down, clean the brick, clean the concrete, apply the damp stop. See, but that's after you apply the damp stop. After you plug up all the holes with the water plug. My suspicion is that, sorry guys, I have to get under here, is that the leak was coming from here. Okay, the reason is when I was cleaning that with the drill bit sunk in, so I got a bigger one. That sunk in as well. I got a bigger one, and it went about 20 centimeters. That's how big of a drill bit I got. When I got in there, just mud on the end of the drill bit, which means just past that point there's solid mud with water from the rain and all that. When I plugged that up, no more leaks. Pull the tool, touch wood. So yeah, but I still went ahead and covered everything I could with a plug, water plug. In some corners I had a real hard time, and this is where I was running out again, so I didn't cover it all up. As you can see, same thing, old piece of wood fixed in place. It's not a bad deal, but you can see I made a bit of a different, I made a runoff channel, and it's running into this hole and it's going to seep through here. So if I see water dripping here, or water dripping here, there's like a little latch, I see it collecting there. I'm like, so that's where the water is coming from. So this part from here, if any water, it just runs down this channel, comes out here. Any from that corner comes down from this channel. I will know that the wall is seeping from the top and not somewhere at the bottom. So yay for that. I'll see you in a sec. Now that I'm out from under the desk, I can show you. Same thing. Every big crack, and there were lots of big cracks, and the holes have to be plugged up with a water plug. Then I cleaned it all up, painted it with the damp stop, and it worked a treat. Like, everything is just dry, rain or shine, and I can sleep peacefully knowing it's not going to flood. So I'm gonna show it to you like that. Same thing, as you can see. This time I've got the channels, just working them in there, and they're all working in my favor. So yeah, a great job, great deal of work again just to get this fixed, but I would say it was totally worth it, because yeah, I can work in a garage, not worried about flooding. I can put things on a floor without too much worry, and best of all, the wood doesn't go moldy after I leave it. As you can see, this has, but it's just temporary. Once I've finished using it, I'll disassemble it, get rid of it, probably build another one, which is gonna give us another great project, or use it till it dies. So let's get into what I've used for this project, what you'll need. So just stick around and I'll start from the beginning. To DIY fix the seeping wall in a garage, I used mainly Gripset Beta water plug from the advertisement. This is actually a pretty good product, works well. It has its limitations and it has its benefits, but I'll go over that in just a sec. So to use it, what you do is you pour, it's just like concrete, the water plug, it's just like a regular concrete. See, there's just only a bit left. So I used I think 2 of these buckets plus a small 1 kg bucket. So when you take it, you put it in a small container, something like this. No, just remember, when you put it, say 100 ml, and you put some water in there, so nice to have a little drinky bottle like this, put it in, mix it well. You can see how runny it is. Just if it's too runny, just take it, put a little bit more of Gripset in, mix it again. Oh yep, sweet. I like the consistency, which should be like nice and soft putty. That way it's easier to work in the deep, into the holes and everywhere. The problem is when you put like say 100 mils of Gripset, you put some water in, it shrinks. It becomes like 50 mil to work with, so you don't get that much. So just be consistent, just a couple of handfuls, say, mix it with water and you'll get a handful, and you just get that enough just to put it into every single crack. So you'll be working that way in, work it in, work it in, working in. 2 minutes later, depending on the temperature, it starts to set. So you have to be careful. So don't mix too much. Mix as much as you can fit in like a couple of minutes. Good idea is to have cold water. That way you get a little bit longer working time. If it's nice and warm, it normally warms up from your hands, and just under 5 minutes, that's it. It's no good. What you also need is any spray bottle with water. What you do is, before you work it in, you spray the corner. That way it's nice and wet. When you're working it in, the moisture isn't being sucked out of it. That way it gives you a little bit longer working time and it sticks a lot better. Pros and cons. So pros, works very well, sticks very well, very fine. So make sure you wear a dust mask when you're using this. Okay. The other sets very quickly, sets under any condition, even in the water. The downside, very short work time. Okay, and you don't get that much out of it. So let's say this is about 4 liters, you only get 2 liters worth of working concrete, which is fudge all for the price that you pay. I'll put up the prices somewhere here or somewhere here, and yeah, but which means that if you're working a little bit at a time, as you said, it sets too quick. Little bit of time, it's going to take you a long time to do the whole wall or do a whole project. It would be good to have a buddy who can keep mixing small batches and you can keep working it in, But if you're working by yourself, as most DIYs are, one small bit at a time. It's going to take you ages, so be patient, take your time, prep well. Speaking of prep work, you gotta dust the hell out of that, and even use a screwdriver bits just to clean all those deep edges. So if it's a tiny 2mm hole, nothing's gonna get in there. So you're gonna open that up with a little bit, at least couple like 5mm, so you can work that in. Fantastic. These ones can be found in like $2 shop, still the price on there. What I found is one of these works wonders. Shove that into the old drill and just whale it on the wall. Just dust that out. Once the dust settles, you gotta vacuum it up. So the best one is to have a good small vacuum. You don't care about the HEPA filter, you don't care how much dust it removes from the air. All you care about is a good suction. So this cheap brand, it's got a shitty filter on it, but it sucks like a madman. Yeah, 1400 watts, basically no filter, just sucks it up. So it's fantastic. This is a great tool to clean up most of the wall and even into the corners, but to get into the smaller holes, this is also a great tool. Just shove it in there and just whale on it. Just pick up some dust. You can vacuum it all up later. After you sucked up all the dust with a vacuum cleaner, you're ready for the damp stop. This is actually my second can. It says it covers 10 meters squared. You could cover just 10 meters squared. It could potentially work. This is half full, by the way. But what I found is when you're applying it to the brick, it kind of sucks it in, and then you have exposed brick. What I wanted to is actually have it covered. That way I know that I painted here. It's gone as deep as it can, and it's going to stay out. And if it starts to penetrate through, for example, there's too high of a pressure, which in this case isn't, that it's going to start bubbling, and I can see that easy instead of it just being damp. That's why I went over it a couple of times, plus I did my best to work it into these fine crevices. That's why it's a little bit bubbly, because I used a bit of too aggressive with the brush. Speaking of a brush, just get any cheap brush, doesn't matter, just as long as it works, and just paint it like regular. That's why you see some fibers still on there. So as I said, I was working it too aggressively in, and it left some bubbles. So just take it nice and slow, just nice and slow. It takes a while for it to set, I think an hour or so before you can't use it anymore. So just take your time with this, cover as much as you can, and proceed on. As you can see, I covered quite a bit. Okay, I stopped here, but I just want to make sure that nothing's coming through, because I've got the wall stopping here, and I thought this was far enough. So the pros for this one is it works quite well, covers everything, it's almost clear, so you got just a little yellow tint on your application. Hence, from this picture you can't tell which one has been painted. Is it this side or this side? Actually, it's this side that's been painted. This is just bare concrete, so it works very well. The downside is it just gets absorbed like regular water into the concrete, so you might need a lot more to cover those 10 square meters. So I reckon, yeah, 1 liter is just barely enough for maybe 3-4 square meters, especially of bare concrete that's ready to go, dust free and everything. Key features to get it to adhere well is to just suck up all the dust, get as much of it out of the way as possible, and continue on. Make sure that the brick / concrete is dry. Maybe run a heater pointing at the wall, maybe run a dehumidifier, whatever works. Just get it dry, wait for the right weather. Once it's dry and you paint it over, there shouldn't be any problems after it is applied, as long as obviously you don't have overpressure of the water seepage pressure. There's such a thing. Make sure it doesn't exceed this, and you should be all good. The other thing I found useful is just having a piece of plastic. That way I know that the wood is not getting penetrated with the moisture, even if any coming out. Plus it keeps it yeah, a little bit insulated as well. Also, when you're running out and you've got big patches, what you can do, you don't want to use the water plug, because as I said, you only get 2 liters out of a 4-liter can. That's bugger all. So what you do is you mix up you put the water plug on, plug up all the holes, then you can mix up just regular concrete. I went for, you know, high strength, just to be on a safe side. Mix it up, put it in, put it over, you know, that way you know that whatever you fill up the gaps, and then you can put a water plug on top of that as again to finalize the coverage, so that way nothing's going to penetrate through, which is great. I've tried mixing these together with a water plug, but the results are kind of iffy, so I wouldn't recommend it. You can try it, but then you're still using a lot of water plug and it just kind of defeats the purpose. So I use that because the brick here, or aka concrete, has deteriorated quite a bit. I was drilling it out, it was crumbling away, so all of that I had to fill up, hence I was able to make these channels here using this extra concrete, which is great. After I even put the concrete, still put the damp stop on there, so you've got the water plug that's holding the water away, you've got the extra concrete that's holding it away, and you've got the damp stop that's holding it away. So you could say kind of 3 barrier protection. It worked for me. Just a side note, make sure that you've got good safety gear. I started off with simple face masks, don't work at all, so skip that. Or you can try using something like this, and it works alright. You can always combine these two to get a better filtration, but this would be your best bet. So something that fits very well and can be used. For the gloves, just go for some nitrile gloves, latex, doesn't matter, as long as they protect your hands and the bits that water plug doesn't work itself well into the skin. Should be alright. That stuff is very fine, so very fine if it focuses. So if you breathe it in, yeah, it does cause some issues, so make sure you protect yourself. And grinding and cleaning, make sure you got some good eyewear to stop bits from flying everywhere. Like I said, these ones, you can see that I lost quite a few, which means they've been flying off, so they don't get you in the eye. Some other gloves, especially when you're cleaning, it stops you from tearing up your skin and knuckles on the wall. So yeah, keep it safe, keep it real. So hopefully you guys enjoying this overview. Sorry it took so long. I had things. Now imagine that the cell phone that I was using to record this died on me, so hence I lost a bit of video there. But on the plus side, yay, overview. I hope you guys enjoyed this. DIY by NZguy. If you did, like and subscribe, and more to come.